Hey guys, we're back at round 5 in the regionals run, and I am versing my first RP law of the day. And my honest opinion about this matchup is that if both players see an average hand, I think, my opinion, that Lucci wins out, only because you're consistently KOing things and you're putting things in the bin, so the bottom decking ability doesn't matter too much because you're able to play through your trash. Whereas if you're looking at both decks and they both pull like the nuts, then I reckon Law brings it out, because when Law goes crazy, I don't think there's really stopping that deck. The deck goes insane on the top end, and it's other decks are just far too slow, especially with the addition of the Bonclays, Mr. 2s, and the Rush Kid Killer. Those cards are insane for the deck. And if we see or Black Maria in our meta, I'm not sure how happy I'm going to be, because that Black Maria cards essentially takes away that whole skill part of RP Law. So we'll see what the band have to say. But I believe that my opponent won the dice roll, so he chose to go second. I played 1 down pass, he plays 2 down pass, so that means he has probably, I wouldn't say it doesn't mean he has a bad hand, but it's normally good for me when he doesn't play anything. But yeah, there's me going 8 to lead because I got no 3 down plays, and so my opponent just takes. Another thing about having a 5 life leader is that's pretty good because it lessens the pressure of having the Kid Killer effect being online a bit earlier, so it's good. I like this meta of 5 life leaders. I just asked my opponent what the ability of what Shreya does again, but basically on block it just makes the Shreya the same power as the leader no matter what. If you put added Dawn, or if you haven't added Dawn, it makes it equivalent. And so he just blocks and then he lets it die. So my assumption is he's got nothing in hand. I play a Sabo to fix my hand, so my hand must have been bricked up. I dropped the Isha only because I don't think Isha is super relevant in the matchup. I could be wrong. Maybe when I play test I might try to hold on to it or try to use it, but as you can see that I dropped 2 big bricks there, a Gecko and a Isha, so my opponent knows that I have bricks, or I've got more than 1 Gecko in my hand, so that's information that he has. It's onto his 6 Dawn turn now. He just plays Kid Blocker, and then he plays 1 Gordon, minus a Gordon onto the Sabo. Bottom bets my Sabo, which is a great play. Grabs himself, I think he plays a Reiju. No, plays a Sanji, and then he gets a 6 into later. So played a great sequence there. It's probably the best 5 down sequence he could do, or 6 down sequence that he could do. Maybe if he played a Reiju on top of that would have been better for him, but having a 6 cost and a 5 cost is really hard for me to deal with, and so you can see me twiddling my fingers just to make sure that I can do the maths. But there's me targeting the Blocker Kid to make it a 4 cost. With a 6. He's counting as well. He must be checking to see whether he blocks now and uses a 1k, or whether he just uses a 2k to get out, or whether he just takes here. So he just takes. I think it's safe for him to take to 2, in my opinion. Play 6 and play Brook, and I bottom deck that, or don't trash it. Just because it's another character with a lot of power. It doesn't quite have the amount of power that a Sakazuki has, like the 6 cost Sakazuki. But yeah. So my opponent's just thinking about his turn, and seeing what he's going to do now as well. But I might try taking the Sakazuki for the next round or next time. But my big goal is the August Regionals in Perth. I cannot wait for Regionals to happen in Perth, because I come from Perth and just be excited. So there's me just checking my Dawn. I've got 9 done next turn. I've got 6 cards in hand. Just showing my opponent that I've got those cards in hand. So plays a Bonclay. He ramps 1. Very nice old art Bonclay there. And there's me checking because I know he's attacking. 6. and I give it 2k. I know my opponent, I don't know if it's this opponent or one of my opponents asked me to make sure I keep my hands. I was like, you can see the shadows, so you can see that like no one's given me any cards or anything, like, because I know that definitely has happened in the past where some people have tried to cheat by getting extra cards from the top, but thankfully there's lights around, so the shadows can definitely verify that I'm not getting extra cards. Plays his second Gordon, and then he bottom decks my Brook, and he plays a Reiju, which is great for him, and then he draws 2 cards off her ability. So I'm not looking too great at the moment as far as things go. I've got my Gecko in hand, so I'm just trying to figure out things that I can KO. Things I recommend is that if you're playing a big body like a Gecko Moria, get rid of the Bonclay, because otherwise you're going to have a 9k swing coming back at you and you can't really defend that 9k swing. So I do make a priority, and as far as his board goes, I try to get rid of the Bonclay first, then the Sanji, and then the Reiju. The Reiju is just a static 5, and so it's not too much of an issue. But that Bonclay is kind of crap. So I swing 6 into the Sanji. Just I don't want to give my opponent extra cards, so 6 into the Sanji and a -1 on the Bonclay. As you can see here, I don't have a stage quite yet, but use a 1 for that, and then I use the Sabo there to KO that. I was contemplating, I think that's why I was like, oh, which one do I get rid of? And so I think getting rid of the Reiju, sorry, the Bonclay is a bit more important. So he swings 6, 5 into leader, I counter 6, and then I take, let's see me what trigger I'm looking at. It might be a draw trigger, I can't remember. So I'm just checking about how much my opponent's going to swing. I think so just drawing a card there. But I was contemplating whether he was going to play another rush character, like 2 rush characters, realistically he can. So he just plays a whole bunch of Sanjis. And then he gets out a Sachian Penguin. Like that's a pretty crazy turn there. He's got 3 blockers and a Sachian Penguin, so you can see here, the RP Lore deck can go kind of crazy, but in turn, Black does what Black does best, and it can also KO a whole bunch of characters in the same turn. So there's me, leave my cards on board so my opponent can see my hand, and I look through my trash, and this is me just figuring out what I want to do. Maybe next turn I should definitely tell my opponent, hey, I'm just going to look through my trash to see what plans. I mean, he knows I'm going to inevitably have a Gecko Moria in hand. So there's me contemplating whether I use the Lucci or whether I use the Rebecca, for whatever reason. Again, I forgot what I have in hand. Maybe I have a Brook in hand, so I could utilize that. But yeah, but not having that stage is hurting me a little, and I do think that that's the play, but I was thinking about, what can I KO the most stuff with? And so yeah, it's just important that you have clarity, and I left my cards right in the center there, and then definitely not, I wouldn't be able to leave those cards in the middle, because my opponent definitely knows that I'm not just playing those, but he's watching and he's making sure that what realistic or what can I do. And so play 2, I finally play my stage here, 9 into the rested Sanji, and I think he just takes here. I think double 2K'ing here would be crazy, in my opinion, because then but maybe he is going for game the next turn, but I don't think because if he doesn't go for game the next turn, he definitely loses probably. So yeah, I just swing lead for 5 to lead, sorry. I think he should just block here with one of the Sanjis. I mean, they're not doing too much. I don't have rush or anything, so I think that's a snap sort of block, but maybe he's thinking about other decisions. So make that Sanji now 3 cost for the stage, and then here's me using Gecko Moria, and I think this is me going back to my decision. Play those 2, play the Helmet Bow, make the Sanji a 0 cost, and then with Rebecca, I'm going to grab back a T-bones. I grab a 2k just to protect my life. And then from my hand, play the Brook, and then I KO that guy. I think I did that so that the opponent is sort of forced into attacking it. He either has to go for game now, or he attacks into my Brook. And that's just to keep pressure off my life, which I think was the right play. I don't think he's ever swinging into that Sabo, because the Sabo's too big. But swinging into that Brook would be worthwhile for him, so that there. Now, I noticed that my opponent just took an extra 2 dons there, and I just gave him time to correct it himself. I didn't want to like call him up, call him a cheater or anything like that, but I'm glad that he corrected his own mistake there, because everybody makes mistakes on these online things. But my opponent's just asked me how many 2Ks I have, and so I literally only have 1 2. I've got the Tashigi. Now, I could have been nice and I could have reminded him that I had the T-bones in my hand, but it's a competitive thing, so I'm not going to let my opponent just say, hey, remember I took this 2k back to my hand, so I actually do have a 2k in hand. But I think he definitely was contemplating going for it, because if he minuses 3 Don, he can get rid of my Rebecca, and then he can swing 3 attacks into me. But I don't think that's the right thing to do. I mean, he can swing 4 if he's got a Kid Killer in his hand. But I've got 4 cards in hand, and then I would essentially go up to... And all of them would need to hit. So, 7 into lead. I think I take this opportunity right now just to block with the Rebecca, because if he hadn't used the neg ability already, then I would have lost my opportunity to block with her. So... snap block. If you're playing black and you have a Rebecca and the RP law gives you a chance to use Rebecca as a blocker, use it. It's because otherwise it's just a free get rid of a blocker for them, because he's utilized some done there. That's why he did that there. So here he is counting about what he could do. These late game turns always take ages. Turn 1, turn 2 is always relatively quick. And then you'll find that as the game goes longer, it just gets longer and longer. And, you're just going to be patient with your opponent, and they'll be patient in turn. Sometimes it's hard with how the rules are with Bandai. They make, my opinion, that the life rules at the end are kind of crap, but that's just my opinion. So, swing 7 into lead, I think, or 7 into Brook. Can't remember. Swing 7 somewhere. We'll find out. I think I'm just worried about a Kid Killer popping out and then just ruining me. So I do have the counter, but I'm just like, well, do I see it? Okay, so 7 into lead, and I just take it like an absolute madman. Yeah, very worried about what I just did there, but I had cards in my hand, so I made my decision. Maybe I was forcing my opponent only because I've got 2 9k swings on my next turn. So that's just me, I guess, telling my opponent, I dare you to go for game here, because if he does go for game, then I'll smack him on the way back. Because he definitely needs to get rid of 2 cards out of his hand. So he plays the Raise Max, and he uses the Raise Max on the Brook, and then he bottom decks a Brook, so I can't use the free KO anymore. And then he puts out another card, I think maybe another blocker. No, puts out a Rage, draws 2 cards, and that's pretty good for him. And he's got 2 Don open. Maybe he could use... I think he was contemplating using that Don as a swing if I had, taken all those attacks. But let's see. Let's see what I'm at. So I've got 6 cards in hand. Looking through... and I've got clear hand. So 5 cards in hand. So just ask my opponent. There. I wish I could see my hand so I could tell you about what plays I'm trying to make. But I must have an Ice Age in hand or something, or maybe not. Yeah, so I go 5 to Sachi Penguin, just attacking their board again, making sure my opponent has to counter out or lets go of the cards. So 5 into Sachi Penguin, minus cost on the Reiju. Again, they're basically equivalent now because they're both on the field and they don't have any extra effects. But he's like, how many leeches in? I think he just wanted to know if there's 1, but I think there's 4 there. Oh, sorry, 2. And again, I don't know what he has in hand. He might be bricked up there, but he counters with a law. 9 into Sachin Penguin, dies, because if I go 9 first, he would have let go of that straight away. So by baiting into a 5 and a 9, it puts pressure onto his hand. I'm not too worried about pressuring his life at this point in time, because I don't think it's the right time to go for it. I'm -2 on the Reiju. She's a 1 cost now. And then again, I don't think I attacked with the Gecko, only because, oh no, I do, never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. It's going crazy. But surely, yeah, I think he has to take here. Because otherwise he just gets rid of a blocker for me, and then I'm just ready to go ahead. So he's got a trigger there, so he's contemplating. So he triggers Missile Sunday, minuses 1 Don, gets 1 Don back, and then I don't know if he missed a trigger there, if Missile Sunday is supposed to draw him a card, I forget, but I get back a Sabo, and then I play the book from hand because I had 1, and then I play 5 here to play a Sabo to get another blocker. The rationale, so Endless Lobby and a 16 pistol, that combination there, that's an extra 3k to keep myself alive. But I don't understand my turn just then, to be honest. But I think my opponent does decide to go for game now, because which is interesting enough, because I do have 2 blockers and a life, so he does need to technically get 4 hits through. So he must have some rush cards. He's only got 5 done at the moment, and so goes 6 into lead. And again, same thing. If your opponent's giving you an opportunity to block with a Rebecca, you just take it. There's me. I'm like, oh, I can just 2k, but I can just get rid of the blocker there. And that's the problem with the law at the moment, is that you get rid of the Don, and so your attacks are have less potential. Your opponent has less thinking to do, whereas as soon as the Black Maria gets printed, she is going to wreak havoc all over us. So swing 6 with a Missile Sunday, I 2k out, and then 1 raise max, bottom decks my lady, and then he plays out a Kid Killer. He swings, I think he goes 7 with the Kid Killer first. And then this is me baiting my opponent. I have enough counter in my hand to get out of both attacks, but I bait him into using all of his Don into to sort of attacking me. So I just wanted him to commit that blocker, so I don't have to block up and deal that blocker anymore. And then, as you see there, I just get the win there. So I'm currently 4-1, and I am all about that hype.